All right, so I am joined here by the amazing Ayesha and Krishna Shroff, the co-promoters of Matrix Fight Night, entrepreneurs involved in the Bollywood industry, owners of a fitness gym as well. Nothing that they don't do. So glad to have you guys here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us. Excited for this interview.
I want to pick your brain about a lot of things Indian MMA. Matrix Fight Night. You guys are the two best people I could interview in the whole country of India for this. So I guess just like starting with the promotional side of things, I've been listening to the Matrix Fight Night podcast a lot, learning a lot about how you two work together as co-promoters. But I guess just like, what are you guys learning right now, and what are some of your favorite parts about being a promoter? I'll shoot it to you first.
Okay. Um, Learning everything for sure, everything that's MMA related, getting to meet so many incredible people from across the world, getting to really discover the incredible talent that we have in our country. And actually, what I can say is that when MFN started, I don't think people realized that we were in it for the long haul. They probably thought it was just a vanity project or something. But I think now finally Indian MMA has woken up to the fact that we're here to stay. And I can say it with a lot of satisfaction that Krishna and I have been responsible for literally resurrecting MMA in our country. And I'm not being boastful, um, I'm so grateful that we've had the opportunity to do this. And working with Krishna is the best thing ever. I think a lot of people would say, oh, you shouldn't work with family and all of this, but we are a perfect foil for each other. So it's been great.
I think
I
that's probably because we both we share the same vision, and I I believe the fact that this is a passion project. Um, it stems from a pure place, and that's why we're able to see the long term in it and the longevity in it. So yeah, definitely I agree with mom. I mean, one of my favorite, absolute favorite parts of this whole thing is to be able to work together. And I always joke, mom plays good cop, I play bad cop, and I'm okay with playing bad cop. Mom's a little more emotional than I am.
A little
I
more is an understatement.
Yeah, a lot more emotional than I am, and you do tend to get close to these guys and girls working so closely with these athletes and seeing, how much they put not just their physical through, but their mental as well. It's a super demanding sport, and the amount that goes into their training camps to then just have, it either go north or south in a minute or more, but potentially a minute, it can be a little heartbreaking. So my mom tends to get a little emotional when it comes to the athletes. I'm able to look at it as more of a profession, and this was their choice. So yeah, I think we're a great balance when it comes to running this whole thing.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like as you two are both promoting side by side, it's one thing like there's hardly any female promoters in the sport of MMA. I think, I can think of Shannon Knapp of Invicta FC does a phenomenal
Invicta, yeah.
job there, but it's even more rare to have kind of two promoters side by side. So how does that work? I mean, do you guys kind of split things up of like, I'll take this side of the company, you kind of take these operations of the business, or how does that work? Christian, I'll shoot this over to you.
To be honest, my mom and I are pretty hands-on when it comes to everything. We have a small team, but a solid team, and my mom and I are on top of everything, supervising everything, dividing the work equally amongst the two of us, and we like to get involved in every single aspect of the whole thing from day one till fight night till the wrap up a week post, because at the end of the day it's our baby, and we believe no one can do the job better for it than the two of us. And I mean, I think being women, where we focus more on the nitty gritty, we're able to pay more attention to the detail of things. So I think that definitely helps differentiate us from the rest.
For
For sure.
sure,
And
yeah.
like, you all had mentioned that you're basically resurrecting MMA in India from the ground up. And just
Hmm.
thinking about like, 4 years ago when you guys started MFN, the state that state that Indian MMA was in. Now, 4 years later, it's a totally different landscape, totally different beast. There's just like killers coming out of every corner of India. But like thinking about Indian MMA, what would you say are some of like the biggest needs of like, we really need to develop this side of like, the strength and conditioning, a certain side of the technique, professionalism. What would you say is some of the biggest areas that Indian MMA is growing right now? Ayesha,
well, I think finally, after doing 11 shows, uh, fighters here in India realize that it's not just about what you do in the cage. To be an MMA star, to be an MMA professional fighter, it's a lot more than just showing up on the night. Of course, everything boils down to the result of that night, but there's so much more that goes into it, Also, we've now tied up with a few camps in Bali and in Thailand. Typically, if one of our MFN signed fighters wishes to go abroad for a fight camp, we do sponsor that as well. We are also in the process of having our own Matrix fight camp here in India. The family has just purchased a beautiful piece of land just outside Mumbai, and construction has begun on that. Of course, as beautiful as the location is, the most crucial part is getting the best coaches from across the world, getting fighters from across the world, because what we've noticed, we also have a chain of gyms, as you mentioned. So all MFN fighters have the opportunity to go to any of these pan-India gyms to train free of cost. So we have set that up as well. But at the end of the day, when you're training in a particular gym, you have your training partners, and at the end of a month, you know exactly what your opponent is going to be doing next. So where's the challenge really to prepare for a big fight? So our hope is that we get more and more international fighters coming down to India to train at Matrix Fight Camp. We get incredible coaches coming from all over the world to India. And by the same exchange, we have the possibility to send our coaches and our fighters from here anywhere else. Of course, Matrix in India is always open to them. But the more they're exposed to tougher fighters, tougher coaches, I think the better these guys are going to grow, guys and girls. We've got incredible girls coming in as well now, which is very, very satisfying. Nutrition has been one of the big things. A lot of Indian fighters are vegetarian, and while it's very cool to say I'm vegetarian or vegan or whatever, I'm not sure how that really helps the recovery process. But they're understanding now, and uh, as like Krishna said, we do try and get involved as much as we possibly can with all of our fighters, especially once she's now our matchmaker, as you maybe know. Once the card is in place, then I tend to personally follow up with all the fighters on that card. If they need anything, if they're falling short of something, if there's anything MFN can do to assist them in their camp, we're there for that. So we kind of balance that out as well. And I do see, if you see a lot of our guys, if you see their social media, what it was a couple of years ago and what it is today, they've understood the game, and they're growing all of that as well. And it's satisfying to see where we've come in just 4 years. Unfortunately, we had those 2 years of COVID that kind of put a halt to everything. But we're doing pretty good. We're going slow, but it's a steady growth. And like Krishna said, we want to keep hands on with everybody. We have 117 fighters signed to MFN now, and we know exactly who's doing what at what time, who has a girlfriend, who's just broken up, whose mom's in hospital, what they need, everything. We know everything about each of our fighters. And I think that's truly what sets MFN apart from any promotion in the world. And we'd like to keep it that way. Maybe call ourselves a boutique promotion. That's fine. We are not, we don't aim to be with a 500 fighter roster if we can't look after each of those 500 fighters. So that's basically our ethos on that.
Wow. Wow. That's such a, I mean, that's such a beautiful vision of just like going beyond just what goes on in the cage on the day of the event, but also just making sure the fighters feel supported and that they have a positive experience ramping up to their fights. Y'all are really like touching on so many different angles of just bringing up Indian MMA from different phases of where it's at. And you mentioned about the Matrix Fight Gym, and I had heard a little bit about that from some friends in the past. But for all my listeners watching right now, can you give us a little bit of the vision of what Matrix Fight Camp is set to be, and what kind of role you want that to have in the sport in the country?
So my dream is like the world is now, it's open, it's completely open. I do believe that the growth factor is collaboration. So anything that we do in terms of MMA Matrix, the Matrix Fight Camp, our Matrix gyms across India, everything sort of leads into each other. Everything we're creating, what you call it, an ecosystem, if we call it that, right? So in a sense, we have now begun with MFN contenders as well. We've done one show last year. We had 600 amateur fighters sign up for that. It was a 3-day event, and at the end of 3 days, we gave 10 guys and girls contracts to the MFN big stage. So a few of them are in fact fighting on MFN 12 in the undercard. And so they're making their pro debut. From that, we are now working on the Matrix Fight Camp. We are also tying up with Coach Mike at Soma in Bali. So we're hopeful that a lot of his coaches, who are incredible world-class coaches, come here to India and are available to train Indian fighters, as well as have fighters from all over the world come in. We're providing accommodation. There's going to be food, everything. I mean, it's you just wait. We'll share it with you. It's going to blow your mind. It's no camp in the entire world will be anything like what Matrix Fight Camp is. So
I think Mom touched on in your earlier question as well. The reason why those things lack in our country is because of the lack of infrastructure, right? So
yeah.
we're going to bring an absolute state-of-the-art facility for these guys and girls to take their skill set to the next level and be exposed to, people from all over the world and just have more opportunity to improve.
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
And then the MMA Matrix gyms come into play, because I mean, once you retire from as a fighter, what do you do after that, right? That's always been the question in this country. It's never been considered a lucrative career as such. So any fighter signed to MFN, once he or she retires, has the opportunity to be a personal coach in any of the pan-India Matrix gyms, with a very comfortable starting salary, given accommodation as well, and a share in the PT revenue. So we literally look after them from the moment they join up for the contenders, and they get signed to MFN. And then once they retire, what happens to them after that? And so that's the goal, to make it a very attractive proposition to be a professional fighter in India, considering a lot of these guys in the past were getting paid $200, $300 a fight, to now getting paid $10,000 to show, $5,000 to win. I think we've come a long way. So, families who were not in favor of this earlier are now encouraging their kids to actually train MMA and take this up as a career. And one more thing I should add is that we're probably, I can't say this for a fact, but we're probably one of the only promotions globally that ensure our fighters as well.
Yeah, that's huge. Krishna, when you think about the current Matrix Fight Night roster right now, like you guys said, have 170 fighters on the roster. But when I just say, who are some of the top fighters that you know are just going to be a massive superstar someday, a killer? Who are some of those fighters that come to mind for you?
So I have a top 5. I would have to say number 1 would be Abdulazim Badakshi. He, has a 99% finish rate, one of the most exciting guys that we've had on the MFN stage, not just in the cage, but I think, brings a huge fan following with him. So just that many more eyeballs on the promotion. Above that, I mean, he's technically one of the most sound guys we've seen in our cage specifically. We also have Sham Anand, who, I was actually surprised to look back at his record. It's actually not a very extensive record, but the impact that he's been able to leave is immense for, I think, a record of just, is it 3-1 now or something? It's not extensive at all. But he's, just at MF10, he fought his first international opponent. So, really testing himself and seeing where he stands in the world, and was able to knock him out. So he's doing a phenomenal job. Pooja Tomar, our strawweight champion, the best female fighter we have coming out of India. She's been an absolute beast in her recent fights. And I think, Clinton De Cruz, who now is extremely excited about the new flyweight division that we've introduced to MFN. He's undefeated, 5-0. Another extremely technical fighter. Has faced some absolute killers and really strong guys with just like raw brute strength, but was able to overcome all of that just through technique, through beautiful technique. And of course, our featherweight champion, Sanjeev Budwar. I think, that guy has no fear in him. He's one of the few guys that won't think about an opponent that's presented to him. He's ready to fight whoever, whenever. Unfortunately, he had to pull out of this particular fight due to illness. But he's, his name rightly says, the silent killer. I think he's been a really exciting prospect as well. And he's definitely proved his merit, and I think has been one of the most vastly improved from the beginning up until now. And now, I mean, he holds the belt, so that speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have an absolutely killer show coming up here in just a little less than 2 weeks' time. Recording this interview on July 1st from New Delhi's Noida Indoor Stadium. Card that's got a little bit of everything for everybody. You've got 2 title fights, male title fight, female title fight. Like you said, you've got Pooja Tamar on there. One of my favorites in your promotion, Angad Bish defending his title against Hugo Paiva. And then you've got some veteran fights, some prospect fights, everything in between. Ayesha, when you look at this card, what's the one fight that you're like, everyone sit down, you have to watch this fight?
Damn, that's a tough question.
She's gonna say all of them.
You need to ask Krishna this question.
This is the whole good cop, bad cop coming through right now. Yeah. I'm personally really excited for Digambar versus Neeraj. These are some of the newer guys from the lot as well. Some new MFN breed. I'm really excited about Digambar because his showing at MFN 9 was phenomenal. He, a lot of these guys like to hit their 1-2s, jab cross, and that's as far as the combination goes. But he mixes his combos up so beautifully, and it's so exciting to watch because at the end of the day, it's not boxing, it's MMA, right? So he's throwing in knees and elbows and all that dirty shit that audiences love to watch. So I appreciate his style of fighting a lot. It's one of the most exciting for me. And I'd say audiences, MMA fans. And he's facing Neeraj, who, I think honestly had the best performance coming out of MFN 11. And that was his first showing after winning the Contender Series. So he's a super exciting prospect. I have a little extra love for him because he trains at our gym too. MMA Matrix in Mumbai. Again, I think it's just going to be a beautiful showing of technique, strength, and two strikers going at it. So all the exciting things that, all the exciting aspects that make a fight, really one to look forward to.
There you have it, guys. Niraj versus Digambar Rawat Singh. Cannot wait for that fight. Airs in its entirety on Disney Plus Hotstar in India. Gotta ask, you guys have any plans in the future for any kind of international broadcast? Probably one of the most asked questions I get about Matrix Fight Night. How can I watch it?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of good stuff that's bubbling. I hope we are able to announce some of it at the press conference just before MFN 12, and we'll make sure to let you know first.
Thank you.
How about that?
Sounds good. Before I let you guys go, Indian MMA is changing almost by the month and by the week. It's just like growing. It's booming. We had Anshul Jubilee have this massive breakout performance on Road to UFC. Of course, he was MFN, grown and raised. And so when you guys think about Matrix Fight Night in 5 years, what does it look like? I'm sure you could talk about this for an hour, but what are just some little short bits that you can give me on just like, what does it look like and what kind of place is it having in global MMA?
So I think what we're currently doing is 4 mega shows in a year with one contender event. Ideally, we would love to bump this up to probably, well, we're looking in the short-term future, we're looking at 6 shows next year and 2 contender shows. But ideally, the more fighters we have signed on, we would like to make this a monthly show at least. I don't think we should aim for more because we will not be able to give it the same kind of attention that we currently are able to do. And like Krishna said, we're a very small team. We keep it really tight. And everybody is extremely hands-on. So I don't think I would like to change that too much. But yes, increase the frequency of the shows and obviously bring in the whole international broadcast angle. For now, that's exactly what I would like. And for it to get a bit easier to raise sponsorships, because in this country it's still all about cricket, and we're still having a bit of a struggle getting sponsors on for MMA, etc. But it's been so much better this time. When I think back to the early days, I'd be literally working till the last night getting sponsorships in. But this time around, it's been so much easier. So I guess people are waking up to the fact that, we're here to stay, and MMA is this incredibly exciting sport. And also, we've had 2 shows on Disney Hotstar, and the MFN 10. Like I just jokingly say it, of course, we've kind of treated like, stepchildren. But when they saw the viewership we had with not much promotion, they were pretty much in shock. So the entire team showed up to watch MFN 11 with us live. And they said, guys, we're just coming for a few minutes. We're really busy and we want to see how it looks live and blah, blah, blah. So we said, yeah, come. And we invited the whole team. They all stayed all of 5 hours to watch the entire show. And then the viewership on that show was like we had a 500% growth in the viewership. So I think Hotstar has also woken up to the fact that, this is something incredible. And they've estimated about 1 million people watching MFN 12, which is incredible.
I think, I think the main goal is to just keep spreading the knowledge of the sport, and all the hurdles and challenges Mom mentioned, I think would just clear up as soon as more knowledge is spread and obtained. We're lucky we have a head start because we come from one of the biggest populations in the world. So I think India is definitely the right place to be. It's the right time. MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world. And I think we're definitely doing our bit to pioneer it in our country.
We also have one of the youngest populations in the world. So that's pretty helpful too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for hopping on here and having this chat. I have, of course, a ton more questions that I'd love to just pick your brain about Indian MMA, as it seems like new stars are coming out every single weekend, and really appreciate your guys' time and look forward to MFN 12.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.